Oklahoma lawmakers moved to block ranked choice voting, an arrest at the Oklahoma State Board of Education meeting, and the Oklahoma Senate overrides the governor's veto of the Survivors Act, but uncertainty looms in the House. We'll have details on the KGOU AM NewsBrief for Friday, April 26th. I'm Nick Daniels. Most Oklahoma lawmakers want nothing to do with ranked choice voting. State Capitol reporter Lionel Ramos has more on a measure to ban the practice in the state that recently passed the Senate and was sent to Governor Kevin Stitt for a signature.
Ranked choice voting is exactly what it sounds like, a system in which voters list their candidates for an elected position in order of preference. Candidates with the fewest votes have their totals spread evenly to those with more votes, until there is a winner. House Bill 3156 is a sweeping prohibition of the practice in Oklahoma.
I believe that voting being such a fundamental right is something that we need to protect, especially when it comes to one vote for one voter.
That's Altus Republican Brent Howard, who carried the measure in the Senate. He says ranked choice voting would dilute the influence of one person's vote by spreading it to candidates they didn't mean to select for office. Democrats opposing the bill say the voting method ensures a more even playing field for third-party candidates and voters with diverse stances on issues. In Oklahoma City, I'm Lionel Ramos.
The measure passed the Senate along party lines. It's now on the governor's desk. An Oklahoma State Board of Education meeting was interrupted by the arrest of an activist yesterday afternoon. OPMX's Robbie Korth reports.
Audra Beasley was at the meeting to advocate for better access in public buildings for people with disabilities. But when the 3 minutes she was given to address the board were over, she continued and refused requests to stop. The mother of three was escorted out of the meeting in handcuffs by state troopers.
You're arresting me in front of my children because this man over here is a bigot and a bully, picking on trans kids, picking on disabled kids, picking on my kids. My kids are crying, Ryan Walters.
News outlet Oklahoma Voice reports she was booked into Oklahoma County Jail and faces misdemeanor charges of willfully disrupting state business. A family friend took the kids away from the scene. Board meetings under Walters have become raucous affairs as members of the public camp out in front of the State Department for hours to grab one of the few spots in the public comment queue. I'm Robbie Korth.
One day after Governor Kevin Stitt vetoed the Oklahoma Survivors Act, the Senate voted to override it. But as KGOU's Hannah France reports, the House might not do the same.
Despite having approved Senate President Pro Tem Greg Treat's SB 1470 with a vote of 84-3 last week, Treat says he doesn't expect the House to override Stitt's veto.
I think the Speaker of the House has turned his chamber over to the governor to allow him to run that place right now.
SB 1470 would create the Oklahoma Survivors Act, which directs the courts to reduce the sentences of survivors of domestic violence who were being abused at the time they committed a crime, and whose abuse can be proven to be a substantial contributing factor to said crime. In a press availability on Thursday, Treat went on to say he believes the House will put the language of SB 1470 in a trailer bill that specifies the abuse must be directly related to the crime, echoing a concern Governor Stitt expressed in his veto message. The legislative session ends at the end of next month. I'm Hannah France.
The Oklahoma City Thunder has a 2-0 lead in their best-of-7 NBA playoff series against the New Orleans Pelicans. OPMX's Ryan LaCroix reports OKC now heads out on the road for Game 3 tomorrow afternoon.
The Thunder defended their home court in the first 2 games of the series, but now they face the next 2 in enemy territory. Coach Mark Daignault says they expect the crowd to be loud and their opponent to be hungry for a win, but his team must continue to work and compete.
We can't get distracted by the series, being 2-0. We can't get distracted by the road crowd or really anything else. We just got to stay focused on, the things that are going to stack up to a win, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Game 3 against the Pelicans tips off in New Orleans at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon on TNT. In Oklahoma City, I'm Ryan LaCroix.
You'll find more news at our website, kgou.org, and on the KGOU PM NewsBrief podcast.
At a time when information continues to come at us faster and faster, sometimes you need to hit pause and rewind. NPR's Throughline takes you back in time to the source of the news stories filling your feed. Find NPR's Throughline wherever you get your podcasts.